Okay, very lovely to have everybody with us. Good morning, folks. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Just kidding, it's a Friday morning. That's, as I always say, it's a beautiful Wednesday somewhere. Nice to see you guys. Hopefully, everyone's had a good week. We're here to kind of wrap up the week and talk a little bit about how everything went. Hopefully everybody had a successful week, made some bucks, made some pips. Feel free to discuss, share, tell us how you did this week. There was definitely some pretty good little setups to trade and follow after, and I laid a lot of things out there for us, and so hopefully there was some good stuff to take advantage of. We definitely had some good movement this week, which is not super uncommon. Interestingly, going into kind of the very end of the year and the Christmas break and all of that stuff, it's very easy to get some nice little pushes, which is always interesting. So it's nice to get that little push, that little kind of last of the year. Shove before things kind of take a break for a week or so. And honestly, markets usually move a bit over the holiday break as well. So speaking of holiday break, we'll take next Friday off. Well, I mean, we'll be trading next Friday. And then that'll be our last day for about 9 days or so. And so we'll just kind of reconfirm that schedule, make sure everyone's clear on that. But yes. Yeah, CAD pairs are the rock stars. Up 2% this week, Sim. Good work, man. Good grief. That is excellent. Yeah, the CAD pairs showed a lot of love this week for sure. So we had some great CAD trades. We saw some nice movement. Did everybody make it into that Aussie CAD trade? That was nice. I thought we might have an extra little bit of time to get into that trade. That was one alert I sent out right about 1 hour before it really started to get going. So it was a really nice little movement. Easy to get some pips on. Dollar CAD was a great one. Good. Aaron grabbed 40 pips on that one. Great work. Yeah, it was. I'll tell you, Sim, it was some good timing. That thing just opened up and started to rock and roll about an hour after we got into it. Now, of course, there was a little bit of news, um, but excuse me, it was just a nice little steady mover. So, a couple of things to look at here. This week we had, this week was a big news week. That's always kind of tricky. So, nothing really on Monday. Markets kind of, a little bit of movement to start the week off. Tuesday, a little bit of stuff, and then Wednesday we had, FOMC and Aussie employment numbers. Thursday we had SNB, so Swiss National Bank. We had Bank of England and the European Central Bank all in the same morning announce interest rates and have press conferences and so on, which is no doubt a very good explanation of us getting stopped out with profit, I might add, of the Euro Swiss. So we got bumped out of that thing this week. We had an entry. Excuse me, guys, just sneezing over here. We had an entry on the Euro Swiss at 1,1700, going all the way back to like somewhere back in here. Actually, more like back in here. Anyway, we ended up locking in profit. We were about 60 pips up at one point, 60 or 70 pips up at one point. And then it just pulled back up with a combination of the Swiss news and Euro news, pulled up, stopped us out with some profit, ran back down, and now it's running back up again. So what we'll do going into next week on this Euro Swiss is we're going to scale back into this thing. We're going to say hello, and we're going to get back in somewhere around 11700, 11715, somewhere in there. And we'll just put another small trade on. We'll risk a little bit above these highs, and we'll sell the heck out of this thing. Um, but the bigger trades will remain below kind of this, getting some confirmation below this area. Making a new low is where we're really going to kind of get things going. So we didn't risk anything. We're still just kind of, arguing with the dollar or with the euro Swiss because that's kind of how it plays out. But it's still a nice pattern. It's still, it's still a good little area to trade with. Ideally, I think I'd like to at least take out that low right there and do a little bit of that kind of stuff, and then that would really kind of help confidence on the euro Swiss going the right direction. We've had, I haven't traded the Euro Swiss really personally much in the last couple of years. I mean, very rarely. And we have gotten in short on the Euro Swiss at least, well, actually, we've had long and short over the last couple of months, at least several trades, and they've all paid out. We haven't lost a single cent on a Euro Swiss trade. So I can't judge it. I can't be too sad about that. So I mean, it is always a bummer when you have 50 or 60 or 70 pips profit and then you get out at +1 or +2. But so anyway, that's kind of the landscape that we'll stick with. But we're going to definitely be looking to continue to trade this Euro Swiss. We'll grab some more entries on it as it pulls back. Not definitely not right this moment, but going into Sunday Monday, we'll absolutely be looking for that, and we'll see some good movement. The one thing I want to be careful of, though, is that it's not kind of coiling and consolidating to break higher. So we're going to kind of manage our risk on that and make sure that we're not getting in short on a breakout up. So Euro Swiss looks interesting. So remember, we had some, again, we had some great trades this week. We had a crappy trade this week, which was the New Zealand yen. So we had that New Zealand yen that ran over last week from last week, and we finally closed it out with a loss on what's my New Zealand yen chart? Closed it out with a loss on Monday because it just couldn't stay below its area. So this was kind of the zone we were watching on this New Zealand yen. And as soon as it kind of broke up through this, we closed out, took a loss, and now it's kind of just bumping around up here. We did want to see it take out that weekly pivot. That was kind of the stretch target, which it's hit. So now the New Zealand yen has some nice levels down below. Now I want to talk to you guys about levels for just a moment. Have you guys been able to follow the levels that we have been discussing every single day in the video and charts that I post and so on? The importance of these levels, how they work, how to look at them, and so on. When I post a level, if you will, it's quite the they have quite the attraction to the market. These levels, markets love to come and hit these levels that we've been posting. And so a lot of the watch list stuff is, a combination of trend, pattern, and then a really important level and or target to trade to. So a couple of those examples would be, for example, Aussie CAD. So here was our Aussie CAD trade that I posted yesterday, I think. So there's that chart. This was it reached our upper level. We were looking at 98.30 for like 2 weeks. We've been watching 98.30. It hit that. Now it's overbought, and now we were looking at that 98.45.50 to sell and target our lower levels. So here were some lower levels. It hit that 98.30, which is this upper guy right here. And now we were looking for it to kind of just consolidate in this zone and start moving back to some of these levels. Now, of course, we had some pivot points, a weekly pivot point, a couple of daily pivot points, but those weren't even targets. Those were things that kind of helped me feel a little more confident about trading this thing down. But these guys were our levels. So trading this from the 45.55 area down to at least our first target, which was 9,800, clearly worked out pretty well. So we had a perfect high there at 98.57, and it proceeded to drop down to 97.60, just about 100 pips, very, very quickly. Now, we could say, oh, it was lucky, we got lucky, there was some news, and so on and so on. News sped up the process, but this was a textbook perfect setup to trade back to our levels. We had levels that were stacking up and reasons that we needed to get in there and trade towards those. And the reward was pretty great with some nice pips in a quick hurry. So, again, hopefully everybody got in on this trade. Um, it was just it was just a nice little textbook move. So these levels, when I'm talking about levels, and when we're kind of talking about these areas, let's take them very, very seriously and make sure that we're doing anything we can to get into these trades and take them into that direction. Now, by a show of hands or typings or whatever, who saw my video earlier this week on asking the market a question? Who saw that? We have, oh, okay, thanks, Sim. Nice. Good, Steve. Excellent. Okay, so very, very good. So I want everyone to make sure I'm doing a Facebook Live. Good, thanks, Chris. All right, good. I'm doing a Facebook Live session every day. This is just like a 10-minute Jared rant. So that is that's a nice little way to just communicate some thoughts about trading. I've been trading for a long time, and I wanted to have a nice little platform to just chat about that stuff. Of course, I talk to you guys about that stuff in the daily video that we do for the group, as well as in this session right here. But if everybody goes to, maybe not right this moment, but facebook.com/daytradersfx, that's me. Hold on here. I think I gotta do this stuff. Facebook. Actually, let me edit this. But from here, hold on. Good grief, guys. Sorry, I'm having a Jared moment. Okay, all right. It already did it for us. Okay, good. Okay, so that's all good. So you can just click right on that link. That will take you there. If you say to yourself, Facebook is super weird and I don't know how I feel about Facebook, you're going to have to give it a shot. But the reason I'm doing these is it's Facebook Live. I do live sessions. You guys have seen me, I'm sure, send out the link multiple times. Every day I send it out and just say we're going to be live in about 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. And again, they're just 10, 15, 20-minute chats I have. You can leave comments. You don't have to have a Facebook profile, by the way, to watch these. So if you go to, if I'm not logged in here and I go to Facebook Day Traders FX, I'm not logged into anything, it'll look like this. So it's going to say log in or create a new account. Oh, it's going to be so pushy about that. But you can just scroll right on down and it's going to pop up and say, come on, create an account. And you can just say not now. But you should create an account so you can join in on our group and leave comments and so on. But here is the Facebook page. And there are some videos in here. So you can watch these videos. And right there, videos. So these are all videos that I'm doing every day about all of that stuff. So most of you have a Facebook account. Follow the page, get in there, get involved with us. We're commenting. We have kind of a live chat. It's super cool and very beneficial. So make sure you guys are all getting involved in that. Now, I think one of the last videos I had, yes, they're live from the RV. That's right. That's right. I do most of my work. I have a home office, but I do most of my work from my RV parked on the beach. And who saw my Facebook Live video about the other trader that I ran into that parks next to me? He has this really decked out like Sprinter van, and he's got all of his monitors and a bunch of solar panels on the roof, and he trades. He trades stocks and and other equities from his van, and I'm parked next to him in my little RV trading Forex stuff. Uh, Really interestingly coincidental. But anyway, it's fun time. It's nice scenery. I got the sand right out the window. Somebody asked me, they said, if you live at the beach, why do you drive to the beach to trade? I said, well, because I got to get out. So I can't be in the house all day long. So in the last video, I talked, or excuse me, one of the last few videos, I talked about the concept and principle of asking the market a question, right? And finding out how you can, start to scale into some of these trades and and get involved in some of these movements. So that's an important thing. We talked about starting small on some of these trades and being prepared to when we take a trade, here's something we have to get out of our heads, right? We see a lot of hype. We see a lot of chatter around the internet, on Twitter, and in random places about people just making endless amounts of money trading. Nobody makes just endless amount of money trading. Now, people do make a lot of money trading, but nobody is ever right on a trade ever. Now, I have been in the unique situation to have spent a lot of time training traders. I've trained traders that have never seen a chart before in their life, and I have worked with traders that manage millions of dollars and are kind of looking to up their performance. And I have seen absolutely everybody in between. I've seen every kind of trading account you can imagine. One that has $75 in it, and one that has $100 million in it. And I've worked with people, and I've seen their specific trades, and I've seen everything. And we're all right a lot of the time, and we're all wrong a lot of the time. And what makes the big difference there is how we spread ourselves out in that process. So in that video, I talk about kind of testing the water on these trades. Remember, when you start to hone in on something and you start to focus in on a trade, by putting a very small position on, it gets your attention and you start to work through situations and pay close attention. Now, as I said in the video, we don't want to just throw trades everywhere and just say, hey, I'm testing the water on this and I'm testing the water on that. We want to, start to scale into some of these trades and start to ask the market questions. Now, every question that you ask in your life, I doubt the answer is yes. So we're going to get some no's. We're going to get lots of no's. But what we want to do is make sure that we are finding good setups, finding good areas, and then we start to kind of test that situation out. Now, it's easy to say, let's always just wait for 100% confirmation before getting into anything. And yes, you can do that. But what I want everybody to get into the mindset of is follow these trade recommendations that I have, chase after these levels that we're posting, and test the water with small trades and scale in. Whatever your trade size is, I want you to break that up into 2 or 3 parts. And every time you take a trade, start with that first third of your trade, or first half of your trade, or quarter of your trade, depending on how big your trade size is. And I want you to scale in, because remember, all that risk, excuse me, all that risk is up front. So why would we go in with maximum risk on a trade? Doesn't make sense to me. So we need to break those trades up and scale in, add some positions, and work our way through a lot of these trades. So I want everyone to kind of start on that concept, starting small, scaling in. Now, scaling in doesn't mean I'm in the trade for days and days and I'm adding positions. Scaling in can be, hey, I got in, everything's looking good. Do you know that I will scale in regularly 2 trades at the exact same entry? I'll get into a trade, it'll bounce around a little bit, it'll maybe give me a double top 10 pips later, maybe I missed that double top entry, and it's coming back down in my direction, everything's looking good, and I'll put another position on, literally at the same entry as my first position. That's my scale in. But what I let the market prove to me is that it's working, it's moving, it's behaving itself, and so sometimes my scale ins will be 5 minutes apart from each other. Sometimes they're hours apart, sometimes days apart. It just depends on what the market's doing. But I want you to start thinking about that and start kind of honing in that skill of scaling into these trades. So all of these setups that we had this week, we had a whole slew of them, and there were so many great opportunities for everybody to kind of scale in and trade these directions. Now, if we look for just a moment here at the watch list, look at our watch list. Let's start. Let's just run through a few items here. So here is Aussie CAD. Now, our watch list on the Aussie CAD was trade this breakout up to 97.30 and then ultimately up to 98.30. And so what did it do? There it was. There was our Sunday, Monday kind of stuff. Broke out, ran up to the level we had identified, which was a level, an important level, ran up to our bigger level, 98.30. And what did it do when it got up there? We had some nice trades. There was 150 pips from our area that was pointed out on Monday to where it hit yesterday / the day before. What did we do? We shorted it from there and we traded it down and made some more money on it. We made a killing on Aussie CAD this week. So if you followed our setups, if you followed our areas, then and you know, even if you scaled in small and said, yeah, I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna try this out and put a small trade on, this thing just took off. It just ran like crazy. The risk was super minimum, and it gave us just a beautiful run, and we were able to trade it in both directions this week. So we want to be looking to do that stuff as much as possible. Aussie yen, for example, this week didn't give us the confirmation that I was really looking for. So the Aussie yen was kind of running up here, and you know, we were looking to see where this thing might head. And only now is it kind of starting to break out of this trend line. So, you know, Aussie yen, is there some good potential for scaling into this? Absolutely, but now that we're going into the end of the week, we're going to kind of reassess this. If you're in Aussie yen from the breakout, then great, you're probably sitting at break even. I'm not going to trade this thing because the markets are going to close in a couple of hours, but I will reassess the entry and take it, take it into account on the Sunday, Monday open. So, you know, a good couple of examples of things to start scaling into and things to start watching. Look at our watch list for the Aussie dollar. Here's Aussie dollar. What do we say on Aussie dollar? Decision point, it was sitting at 75.12. 75.12. And we said 7,500 is our decision point. What did the Aussie dollar do this week? It stayed above our 7,500. Let's go to our daily chart here. Stayed above our 7,500 right here and ran up. Where are we sitting? 76.65. It's about 150 pips above where I posted the chart and said, let's watch for this. Now, how do we trade that? We can say, well, yeah, it just ran, but we called this area, right? We knew this area was important. So how do we trade something like this? We say, well, here it is. When I posted the chart, it was at 75.12. It was right here. We say, well, I'm either going to wait and sell the break, or I'm going to buy off this major important support level with a small position. And if it breaks 10 or 15 or 20 pips below, I'm going to get out. That's my asking the market a question, and the market's going to say, no, I'm not going up. I'm going down. And we take a 20 pip loss, and we reverse our position because this is a major decision point right here. But guess what? It didn't do that. It ran up 150 pips without hardly taking a breath. And what is it running towards? Where is the Aussie dollar going? Towards one of our levels. I need to really I hope these are really sinking in. Level. So these are so important. These levels, they're just so crucial. So this is running off of our 7,500 towards our 7,770 level. We could have scaled into this. There was plenty of opportunities for everybody to kind of trade that movement. Consolidation, break, consolidation, break, consolidation, break. Now what do we have happening? Now look at this. We have some crucial levels down here. We have some really important levels right here. I've listed them for you guys already. I've posted them. I've talked about them in the video and so on. Now, on the Aussie dollar, with this crucial, important, super important little set of levels we have right here, I think there's too much bullishness on the Australian dollar, and I think there's enough weakness still on the US dollar that I may try to take a trade back to these, but guess what I would much rather do? I would much rather let this pull back and buy off those levels. Now, what can I do? I can put a small trade here. I can put a small trade here. I can put a small trade here. I can stack them. I can just enter one and let it kind of play out. I can do a whole series of things. I can wait till this level. I can wait till this level. But these are the areas that I'm going to be looking to buy the Australian dollar, US dollar to trade it up to none other than 77.70. 77.70. You guys with me so far? Any questions on that? Is that making some sense? Good question, Steve. Good question. We'll keep that over here. Let's see, where'd we go? Okay, Steve. What general guidelines to use before you move to break even? So that will be kind of a personal preference thing, right? So for me, I'm usually looking for like 25 pips, right? I want to see about 25 pips, and I'll start moving my stop loss to break even. Now, that's generally speaking. The other thing that I look at is if there's a trade that I'm getting into that I'm just being honest with myself, right? I'm saying, okay, I don't love this setup, but I like it enough to take the trade. Then, on those where I'm a little bit nervous, I guess you could say, I will be much more aggressive in locking in my profit. So if it's something I feel like is squirrely, maybe there's some news coming up, then I might move my stop to break even at 10 pips or 8 pips. But if it's kind of generally, one of these, I'm testing the waters, I'm trying to scale in and so on, I'm going to usually wait till at least, 20 or 25 pips. So again, there's absolutely no hard and fast rule on that. Everybody does it completely different. Again, I've watched thousands of traders do it differently and successfully. So that's kind of my method. If I'm nervous about it, I'm aggressive about locking in. If I'm not, I'll give it 20 or 25 pips, right around there. Good question. Good question. Any other questions, guys? Shoot them over. Let's hear it. So in kind of working through these charts, Aussie dollar, great little trade. Everything worked out well there. To be honest, I never really followed up much on this Aussie or this Chef Yen. Chef Yen kind of went. I think this one kind of went a little crazy. This is my daily chart on my Chef Yen. I don't think I even updated this chart hardly, but it's kind of stuck. Hasn't done anything, so I guess we didn't miss out much on this one. I kind of forgot about this chart really, but still a good area, and we're still looking for levels to trade to. We're still looking for a clean pattern and a nice breakout, so that's going to remain on the watch list going into next week. Euro Aussie. Who made some money on the Euro Aussie? What was our setup for the Euro Aussie? This guy right here. What did it do? It broke out, ran down, pulled back to an important level, and then we had a nice trend line. We said, okay, if this thing breaks, what was my description here? Pushed higher, and now we're looking for a continuation lower into some imbalances of 5,300 and even into the 150-200 area. So what did this Euro Aussie do? It ran up and bounced on all this stuff. Nice little trend line. It stayed put at that 156.87 area and did this right here. So here was our level that it ran up to. That was the level we were watching, and this, I haven't adjusted that trend line at all. Now, I was open to the fact if it broke above this, I was looking for a double top and then a move down. And this was, I updated this like on the Tuesday, Wednesday video. But what it ended up doing is just breaking. And what did it do? What did it do exactly? It ran down to level number 1 and level number 2. Just tapped it. So we have just one more left. Our low so far, 153.22. Where did it break out? 156.40. So lots of profit in there. Lots of profit. Chris is asking the question, what is the logic on your target level? Seems to be consolidation breakout, but not all consolidation breaks. Yes, absolutely. Yep, that is so that yes, and actually, Chris, I have a big explanation on my coming course. Which, by the way, let me update everybody. The ignition course. I've been working with somebody on that who is helping me kind of get the courses out and make sure that they're presented the best way possible. And we're going to do it. Kind of got too close to the end of the year, so we're going to do it in the first 2 weeks of January. The course will come out. Now, these levels are very important, and the logic is a couple of different things, right? Consolidation is one thing, um, and breakouts, and there's a few other factors which I will talk about. I'll keep you guys up to date on those because the levels are super super important. Um, so okay, good, Steve or Dennis. You got some pips on the Euro Aussie. So yes, we'll talk about those levels. But you can see this thing. It's run hundreds of pips, just hundreds of pips, 300 pips or so. This is run and finally given us a nice movement. And we called this. So this is a test the water, scale into this trade. Runs down, consolidates, runs down, consolidates, pulls back, breaks, makes a nice little move. We're going to look for opportunities to trade this next week, but for the moment, that was the move we wanted to see happen. We wanted to see it run down into this consolidation area, and it did run down into that. Our levels were just money in the bank on that move. Just to kind of look through a few of these other ones, didn't do anything on Euro CAD this week. This got a little bit messy because I need to see this thing run up to my level here, 152.95, before I'm going to feel really excited about trading it down. So here's a Euro CAD. It's kind of been all over the place. We kind of left this one off. We're still waiting for it to hit that upper area. The trend line I think was like right. I don't know, where was it. It was right there actually. So that was kind of the trend line we were watching. It consolidated, broke out, ran. It's not really done much. I don't know. Did anybody get anything on the Euro CAD? Anyone trade Euro CAD and make some money on that? Love to hear it if you did. I certainly did not. Didn't get into anything there. But EuroCAD made a nice little choppy push, but nothing I wanted to get into too much. We know what happened on the Euro Swiss. We've already talked about that. We got stopped out at a small profit because we moved our stops into break even or into 1 or 2 pips profit. We got stopped out. We'll be looking at re-entry. Here is another little situation. Now, I have to say on the Euro Yen, what were we looking for on the Euro Yen? This trend line right here. Now, I talked about that I talked about this setup in yesterday morning's video. Maybe it was the day before, one of the two. I talked about the Euro Yen, and I said, "Ooh, we're getting close, we're getting close." And then what did the darn thing do? I have to admit here, I missed this breakout myself. So running up this level, I was looking for a little more consolidation, and then it just plowed through yesterday. Just broke right on through. So if anybody got into that, that is super excellent. We're still kind of looking to sell it against these highs or sell that breakout. It made a breakout, didn't really push up against those highs. Again, in a worst case scenario, we're just going to short it below the channel. But it has been a long awaited move, and it finally gave us a break. So I totally missed it, but I did talk about this a couple of times this week, and it was posted in our watch list. So hopefully someone got into it. It would make me feel better if someone said, "Yeah, I just made $900,000 on that trade. Thanks." I'd feel much better. I don't even care that I didn't make any money on it, but I just missed the move. But it was on the list, so keep that watch list in mind. Here's our Euro Krone. This thing was kind of wild. Look at this. Look at this little stinking thing. I wanted to see this Euro Krone kind of tap on this weekly pivot and start moving down to some of our levels. So what did the Euro Krone do? Why do I feel like that isn't all right? I guess that's the same. Oh, I'm on the 4-hour chart. There we go. So the Euro Krone. So what it ended up doing here is that consolidation. It spiked higher before breaking out. So it spiked higher and then kind of chopped around. So then I updated that later in the week on the video and said,
Let's look for a little double top and then a run down. And we just had all kinds of choppiness here. So it did break this little lower level. There was no false movements really. It spiked down on the news and kind of tapped through that area, and then it kind of just chopped around and consolidated. But we still have these lower levels to target. Lower levels to target. These guys right here. We want to target those, and we're going to look for some opportunities. But this one is literally one that would have been almost impossible to get caught in accidentally or had a bad run. As it spiked up to the level I wanted to see the pullback, it spiked up like crazy, just plowed right through it. And then as it came back down for that breakout, it just spiked right back down again. So Euro Krone was pretty wild this week. I didn't trade it, but it did go nuts. So not my favorite one for the week. How about our good old euro dollar? Anybody trade the euro dollar? We had some pretty clean setups on the euro dollar this week, where where we had a little bit of a pullback. We had a weekly pivot to work with, and then a push lower into our level. How did the euro dollar do? How did this puppy fare? So it pulled back to our weekly pivot, which was right there. It moved lower. There was some nice pips on that, and it just missed our lower level by a little bit of a chunk. Now, what about this, though, right here? Um, what about this little area? Do you guys remember in the video talking about this? So I talked about we're bullish above here. Draghi spoke, and the euro ran. No, this was actually FOMC. This was on Wednesday. The dollar ran towards weakness. Euro shot up. Talked about this little area. This was another one of our levels. Pulled back right here and has kind of just consolidated, kind of looking for it to bounce a little bit higher. But we still have the vulnerability of this 16, kind of this 116.75 area as our potential target for some downside movement. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of the week, I think I put this in the notes here. I don't have any major entry ideas here, but I'm going to look to see how it trades and what it does. And there it went. It kind of just played along and had a good little move. So euro dollar was okay. I think that the euro dollar could get a little bit interesting if we get if we start to see kind of some of that consolidation right here, and this thing starts to break a little bit, then I would be watching for some of this business down here as a target. But and I'm not really gung ho about trading the euro dollar. I feel like this thing has just been so choppy, but it's kind of behaved. Pulled back to our weekly pivot, ran down, and then here it is again. So probably one more little push on euro dollar into that level down there before the movement's over. Yeah, very nice little move. We'll kind of continue to track that thing and see where it goes coming into the week ahead. What do we say about the New Zealand Swiss? 68.23 is our decision point area. What does New Zealand Swiss do? Well, there's our 68.23 decision point. We got a piece of the New Zealand Swiss. Anybody get some of that? 68.23 ran up to 69.56 so far. So not a huge run. Remember, New Zealand Swiss is not a huge mover, but that's over 100 pips. And trading some of those not huge movers in a nice direction can be very easy money because you don't have a lot of pain and agony of the thing going wild and totally going against you and being, painful to sit through. It just, they just kind of run. They just kind of run. And so this thing just ran and made a nice little push. But guess what? It's leaving some lower untouched levels that need to get kind of rebalanced. So we're going to be looking for some of that. But it was a nice 100 pip, 125, 130 pip move up right there. So great little push on New Zealand Swiss. Anybody got into that? Congratulations. New Zealand yen. that was the trade that was a piece of junk for us this week. But as you can see, we've already gone through about 12 charts that have basically either not confirmed or confirmed and worked out and paid some nice pips and some nice profits. New Zealand yen, we lost money on it. We had to take the dive. Lost some money on that darn New Zealand yen, but it happens. And I'm not even going to try to make any kind of a sob story on my end. We just sometimes these trades don't work out, so it's a bummer. But this is what we're talking about. Asking the market questions and really getting in there and seeing how it goes. Who traded New Zealand dollar? Anyone trade New Zealand dollar? Here was our level. This is a 4-hour chart. New Zealand dollar consolidation breakout. Target at least 70.50. Looking for at least 70.50. Now, at the time of posting this chart, the New Zealand dollar was at 68.50, so we're looking for about a 200 pip move there. What in the world did this New Zealand dollar do? It just missed our 70.50, but it made a nice break. Again, another 150 pips or so. Anyone getting a New Zealand dollar? Did you guys get some New Zealand dollar this week? I feel like that's one that gets traded a lot. I get asked a lot of questions about New Zealand dollar and kind of how those setups are and what to trade and so on. Who got some New Zealand dollar? Nobody got New Zealand dollar. Zero New Zealand dollar. Because it was a goodie. It was a goodie this week. But what else did we do? So New Zealand dollar missed our area by just a little bit. But here is another chart that I posted on New Zealand dollar. So we had a couple of things to look at there, and that was, where is it? Did I miss it? Did I miss it? Where are we? I think it is this guy, right? I'm trying to show the chart so I'm not a total liar pants here. Okay, it's this one right here. So this little guy right here we talked about, trading back to 7,000 and a little mispivot in there and even lower from this 70.20. So it was kind of a little scalp trade. So we had this nice little breakout and run higher, which worked out well. And then we had this guy later in the week, which was another nice trade. So I posted this right in this little area right here. It said, let's trade back to this level. It ran back 20 pips, and then it ran back another, 25 pips. So it actually ended up running about 45 pips or so on this move down here. But a very nice little pullback, nice little run there. We've still got some untouched levels that we've got to look for and watch for, but that was a nice little scalp trade. Anybody get into that little scalp trade? So those that may have missed the bigger move up on the New Zealand dollar, hopefully some of you guys got into that little scalp. But these levels, by the way, I want to review these trade setups because I want you guys to kind of understand, in retrospect and for future stuff, how these work. Now, I'm putting this analysis out there. I'm saying, look, let's trade these. I'm giving you guys some methods to trade them. I'm calling trades on them as well. But I'm not going to call trades on every single thing because there's too many different circumstances for traders and accounts. So I'm giving you the instructions, the details, and hopefully giving you guys a little bit of an idea on the best way to manage and trade these watch list items that we're looking at every week. So it's been a great week. Our levels have worked out excellent. The setups have worked out excellent. Okay, good, Sim. Glad you got some scalp out of that. Thanks, Dennis. Thank you. Glad. Hopefully, it's helpful a little bit. So I want you guys to follow these and remember. Now we're going to have some weeks where all of our setups and all of our levels don't work out. They just don't work out because the market's going to be a jerk for us. And that's why, once again, we're going to scale into these things. We're going to, kind of put our toe in the water and say, okay, market, are you going to behave? And I'm willing to bet $20 that you will. Oh, I'm out. I lost $20. The market didn't behave. And we're going to be kind of just getting ourselves little by little into these setups and trading them more as we confirm and so on. So New Zealand dollar worked out well in both directions. We traded it up and we traded it down. Here was the dollar CAD. Now, dollar CAD kind of chopped around here, right? So dollar CAD chopped and chopped and chopped. But we knew we were looking for our level, right? 127.05. So what did the dollar CAD do? The dollar CAD ran, I kind of adjusted these lines a little bit, but our trend line, I think, was like that guy, maybe, or something like that. It might have been that one. So we had all this kind of, tapping on that trend line. I think that was the trend line we had drawn in there. So we had that stuff right there, and it was kind of chopping around, getting a little choppy and a little crazy. Now, before it ever gave us any amount of confirmation, now if you would have said, that's enough of a break, I'm going to try to get in right there, and then it ran from 120, 128.15 up into 128.90, and it still worked out, right? But there was no confirmation until getting into this area, and that's when I updated our setup to this guy right here and said, we've got news, we've got CAD news, we've got US news, but let's trade this thing. And so what happened? Here was the chart that I posted. So you can see that right there. We kind of had this on the 15-minute chart. I've been trying to kind of break that trend line. And I said, let's trade this guy right here. So what happened on that? Well, that was this level here. And again, guys, I want to show you this stuff so that we can, so that we can learn from these setups and, make sure to just better identify them for coming weeks ahead. So that was that setup right there. You can see that big run down and that little dip, and it kind of consolidated. So we had, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, there we go. So we had that big run down, that little dip, and that consolidation. It chopped around here and then blasted through our level and came just shy. What was our low right here? 127.14 was the low, and the level we were really looking for is 127.05. So what did it do? It traded exactly to the level that we knew it would trade to. What did I say in all of these videos and in all of this stuff right here? We've got this interesting area to be trading with. Here's that channel, right? It said, look at this. We're right at the top of this thing. Let's trade it down to our level. Let's trade it down there. Hourly chart looked like that. It was kind of a choppy mess, but it gave us a nice little area to work with. And so, test the water on these puppies, jump in and start taking these trades and start, putting some money on the line and start trading down to these. So dollar CAD, another great example of just, following the watch list, following the setup, scaling in and trading these things. Now, there's going to be things that like I posted this week, 2 trades. The Aussie CAD, which was a pretty short term, like let's get in here and just grab some quick pips on it. It was pretty quick. We were in and out like an hour. And the New Zealand dollar was one of those as well. Let's trade down to this area. There's 20 to 40 pips. Boom, it ran 40 pips in 2 or 3 hours, and then we were done. So we're going to do some short-term stuff, and those might be a little less scaly-any because they're a little more short-term. But we're still gonna break that position up at least into 2. But on the bigger stuff, on these bigger weekly watch list items, we really want to kind of spread that out just a little bit more. Okay, dollar peso, just kind of to wrap this all up, dollar peso, I didn't end up trading the dollar peso this week, and I would have been very vocal about it had I, but our dollar peso kind of looked like this. We had this little run up, there's that weekly pivot, which was this guy right here, and it just kind of didn't really make the move. So weekly pivot, monthly pivot, right there. You can see that is this area here. So I was kind of watching for some of. Actually, I think I had a trend line right there. Watching for some of that stuff, and then it just continued to push higher. And then we kind of updated it with this channel kind of breaking out of the channel, broke out, and it's just consolidating still. So we've got some great levels to aim for, including some nice pivots down below. But I'm not in this. Anyone in the dollar peso, by the way? Anyone take a trade on this? It broke out and it's staying below that area. So we're going to see if we can get some some kind of consolidation and some movement through this zone here. And kind of, look at that stuff and trade that down along those lines. Hey, Michael, nice to see you. Had a huge spread almost every time I looked at it, 50 to 60 pips. Yes, yes, Mike, it does. It does have a large, massive spread. The dollar peso has a big spread. The dollar krone, the euro krone, they all have huge spreads. Keep in mind, though, that the dollar peso and the dollar krone and so on have big spreads, but it's not like a normal pip, right? So that would really be a little bit more equivalent to like a 5 or 6 pip spread as opposed to a 50 or 60 pip spread. So they pay out a whole lot less, but they also move a lot. So that's kind of how it makes up the difference, right? They pay out a lot less per pip, um, and that's why you see, we're taking a 800 pip trade on the dollar peso, for example, and it's really more equivalent to like an 80 or 100 pip trade on a normal currency pair. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's helpful. Okay. Yep. Yep. Me neither. I didn't get into any dollar peso this week. It just kind of didn't behave itself. Okay. Good. So dollar peso, and then the dollar krone also just got really messy and choppy. We had that euro krone dollar krone movement, and it just got real messy. So I didn't end up taking anything on this one. I'd be surprised if anybody else did either, because of just all the chop. Right, it broke out of our trend line and then had that big spike down, but there was some wild kind of violent movement in there. Um, that made it a little bit tricky to kind of jump in on these. But if you would have traded the direction that we were saying, which was maybe a breakout or this kind of area, there was still some pips to go after, but not too good. Nothing I was super excited about putting money on the line for. So does that help you guys kind of a little bit better understand how this watch list works and how to benefit from following these items and how to trade them so you don't miss the movements? Is that helpful? Do you guys feel a little more encouraged for next week when we run over some of this stuff again? So I'm going to post the watch list next week. We're gonna test the water. We're gonna scale in. We're gonna attack these trades the best we can, and hopefully just make some pips again. But it was a really good week. We took a loss on the New Zealand yen, but 80% of the rest of the trades we posted either worked out great or worked out decent. so, so there was lots of money to be made, lots of pips to be had. If you're feeling a little bit like, dang it, I missed a lot of those, or why is everybody making money and I'm not making money, or whatever the case is, take this to heart and look at these setups. Start to scale into your positions a little bit and start working with this material. What I like to always tell everybody is here's going to be a test of my spelling ability. What we have to look for, as always, guys, we've got to look for these things right here. Number one, confirmation, right? That's what we're always looking for. And then we've got to look for invalidation. And then we're still looking for, the basics like trend, these patterns that we talk about, and key levels. So we're always looking for that, but we've got to find that confirmation and that invalidation. Now, when we have that confirmation and validation, that would be, the perfect example. Literally, the textbook example of that would be the Australian dollar, U.S. dollar this week. So 7,500. Where's our confirmation? This one was tough to have some confirmation on, but guess what? We have a really excellent idea where our invalidation is, and that's right there. So the closer we can get into a trade near invalidation, the less we have to risk, right? And that can kind of make up the difference of confirmation. So, excuse me, this Aussie dollar right here, where we say, okay, there's not really great confirmation. Okay, that's fine, but there's reason to believe that it's going to come off this level, and we have invalidation very nearby. So that invalidation can act almost as confirmation. We can say, okay, only got to risk 15 pips. If I'm wrong quick, and that's what we want to be. Is we want to be wrong very quickly, so that we can get out, risk less, move on. The question we ask the market: Are you going to go up? No, because it broke down. In this case, it actually did go up. But that's the kind of stuff that we want to start kind of looking for. Sim, one question. Moving a smaller trade size and scaling in trades works great for me. Do you still hedge when price goes against you full positions like you used to years ago? So yeah, Sim. So I don't, as the regulations in the U.S. changed a bunch and hedging got kind of messy, I kind of dropped the hedging thing off mostly. No, I do have a broker outside the U.S. where I can still hedge, and I don't do it as much. But it's a good technique if you've had success with it. I gave a whole webinar on how to hedge your losses and how to eliminate that whole situation, and it's a great method if you've had success with it. A lot of people have a really hard time kind of wrapping that into their trading style, and um, so it's a little tricky. Okay, I'm still doing it for full position. Okay, yeah, yeah, yep. Yeah, it's a great method. And you can do it on full position sizes. You can do it on a partial position size. If you're in a trade, a standard lot, you can hedge it a half of a lot, so that if it doesn't go against you as far as you were thinking, you're risking less on that hedge, but you're still offsetting that loss by some amount. So yeah, hedging's great if you can do it. Not everybody can do it. It's kind of not because of the method or the technique doesn't work, but because it just seems to confuse a lot of people sometimes. So yeah, if you're doing it and it's working, that's super awesome. I'm happy to hear it. Yeah, it's a great method still. Yeah, it does get a little bit tricky. It does get a little bit tricky for sure. But if it's working for you, keep on keeping on for sure. Okay, guys, so a good week this week. Hopefully, everybody made some good pips. I made some good pips. I hope you guys did as well. We sent out lots of trade calls and videos every day. Hopefully, everyone's seen those videos. Please go and participate in our discussion right here. I'm going to post this once again. Well, I didn't want to go there, but there we are. We're there. Um, go and join us for our Facebook Live. And it's a great place to kind of discuss some of these things and connect and chat about some of these trading items. So have a look at that. I will post this video for everybody. It'll be ready to be viewed shortly. Have an amazing, wonderful Friday. Have a great weekend. Get some good rest. We're going to be back with some more levels and some more stuff to trade next week. So again, next week is going to be, we'll trade the full week. We'll wrap everything up next Friday, and then we'll take, the following Monday will be Christmas, so we'll take that whole week off, and then we'll kind of start up probably middle of the week after that. So be some good stuff. Thank you, Sim. Thank you. Nice to have you with us, Sim, as always. Sim, you have been in the group, I think, for like 6 years, if I had to say. Probably 6 years. So anyway, I'm really, really glad to have you with us still. So it's really great to have you here. Um, and several others have been with us for a very long time as well. So great to have you guys. Yeah, I think I've lost count too. We're glad you're still here, Sim. It's always good to see you. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday morning, bright and early. Take care, guys. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. See you all soon. Take care.